Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was clicked by GonzoHawk. The original OP is Panther Purple, posted to r/JustNoMother-in-law. My stepmother-in-law thinks my daughter is the child she never got to have. Help. Some acronym definitions. SMIL is stepmother-in-law, MIL is mother-in-law, FIL is father-in-law, DH is dear husband, DD is dear daughter, and DS is dear son. Originally posted the 9th of May, 2017. Advice needed. Sorry this is a little long. My stepmother-in-law is generally a lovely woman. She's kind, helpful, and sweet, but Lord, recently I want to strangle her. Background: father-in-law married stepmother-in-law when husband was a teenager, so they've been together for quite a while now. She has had infertility issues in the past, and after countless failed IVF tries, found out they couldn't have children. I think one of the benefits of marrying father-in-law was that she would inherit 2 sons, even if they were close to being legal adults. I guess she knew one day they would have children, and she'd be a grandmother. Now, this brings me to my issue. Before I gave birth to my daughter, I knew an influx of annoying shit was coming my way because there hasn't been a girl born into the family for a long time. But I definitely didn't think it would be this bad. When I was pregnant with my daughter, my stepmother-in-law bought me 4 bin bags worth of clothes, despite my specific request for no one to buy me clothes because A, she will grow out in a matter of weeks, so it's a waste of money. B, my in-laws have a tendency to buy clothes that say shit like, Grandma's #1 girl, Daddy's girl, etc. When I told my stepmother-in-law that I learned my mistake last time around and that I won't even have people wait in the delivery room because of the shitstorm that was the birth of my first child, a whole other story of my stepmother-in-law versus mother-in-law and who can outcry each other, she knows I have clear boundaries and has seen the repercussions when people overstep them with my mother-in-law. So instead of complaining to me, she said, "Oh, okay, I understand." But I was told by father-in-law later on that she cried herself to sleep every night for a week. I have a good relationship with my stepmother-in-law, so this didn't hurt me to hear, but at the same time, it felt like a guilt trip. I sat her down and told her this wasn't about her, and of course, she'll be involved in my daughter's life. Just hold off for a bit. She seemed to understand, but she clearly didn't because the past year has been difficult, to say the least. This leads me up to today. I'll bullet point to make it more organized. She constantly refers to my daughter as variations of her precious little girl, a common trend that my in-laws all have, to be honest. My mother pointed out how weird it was. I walked in on her, hovering over daughter in her crib, saying, "You're the child I have prayed for, my little girl. God has truly answered my prayers." Tried to give my daughter a middle name because I got to give daughter her first name. That's not how it works. The name she chose was what she picked for the child that she miscarried, so I was very creeped out. Probably one of the weirdest things is when she said, "She's so beautiful. She got that from you." It's a shame. I always wanted to see my features on my child. Maybe we can say she has my eyes? I actually just looked at her like, what the fuck? When my daughter cries, this woman turns into Usain Bolt himself and goes to pick her up saying, "Shh, I'm here now, you're okay, nothing can hurt you." What was going to hurt her, stepmother-in-law? The fuck? Oh, and the guilt trips. Now, I'm very reluctant on my children sleeping over at people's houses because they're still very young. But despite this, she still constantly asks, "Can I have daughter over for the night?" Gives reason. "What about next week?" Gives reason. Now she makes statements, i.e., "I've set up the whole nursery and she hasn't even used it once, haha." Creepily stares at me. I need some advice. I don't know how to handle this. Sometimes I'd rather she just be like my mother-in-law, just an upfront asshole, because I can deal with that. I just don't know how to deal with passive aggressiveness. Technically, she doesn't overstep my boundaries, but she'll find loopholes or guilt trips. I get it. You don't get to have children. Honestly, I feel for you, but that doesn't mean my daughter is going to be the baby you've always wanted to have. However, she's been there for me and is honestly a sweet person, but ever since I've had my daughter, she has become overbearing. Husband loves his dad and my stepmother-in-law, and his dad can't bear his wife being upset. So I know if my husband and I try to talk to her formally about it, I've told her on the small occasions directly, she'll cry and guilt trip, maybe not even intentionally. I don't know how to handle weepy people. Any advice? Update, May 11th, 2017. This post was getting really long, so I'm writing a separate post to finish the update. Yeah, shit went down. So I was going to wait until Friday when stepmother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, his wife, and kids come over. My naive self thinking this was take her to the side for a 5-minute chat situation. But you guys scared the fuck out of me. More like the sense into me with your comments, so I had to get my ducks in a row immediately. Now I have to say the stories of this sub, some of which you've brought to my attention. Also, shout out to the person who linked the trailer to The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The singular most terrifying movie clip I've seen as a mother is so out of my spectrum and everything I know. It was hard to adjust to, let alone coming to the realization this could be my situation. Okay, I'll give you a rundown of last night's events. As soon as I saw my husband in the evening, I burst out crying. He just looked at me shocked because I rarely cry. So even if he didn't think the stepmother-in-law situation was bad before, he knew it must be to be making me feel this way. I begun by telling him everything. He would notice, and I would occasionally tell him when I was at the brink of ripping my hair out the shit stepmother-in-law would do, but never in full details. Mainly because when I see my husband, I want to have real conversations with him. It was like word vomit. I told him about the pet names, the constant holding, the running to get her before me, the clothes, all the shit through my pregnancy, the nursery, the constant whispering in daughter's ear of God knows what, the photo album of daughter. She takes pictures constantly and has already filled out a massive photo album. She has more photos than me. The sad statements, the looks. Fuck, I forgot to mention the looks in my first post. When I'm holding my daughter, she would just give me the weirdest look. It's like a combination of sadness, creepy, anger, confusion. I finished by reading him a few of your comments. I highlighted what a lot of you guys said, that stepmother-in-law didn't properly address or handle her grief, and it has manifested into an obsession with my daughter. Her unhealthy attachment to daughter is not only damaging to my daughter and son, who will grow up noticing the different attention they get by her. Everyone else treats them the same, but her own mental health. I made it clear I do genuinely have love for stepmother-in-law, but I'm scared with this unhealthy attachment, and it's more serious than we both previously thought. I need both of us to talk to stepmother-in-law and father-in-law because I'm scared about how this could end. He just sat there and listened to everything I said and read. The first thing he did was hug me, and for someone who doesn't cry, Lord, I think I cried for England in that moment. He began by saying he always knew she hadn't processed her grief properly, and told me a few off instances when he was a teenager. He said, first things first, my dad has to realize that his wife is his primary concern and she needs help. And the husband's primary concern is me and the kids, and his dad needs to respect that. He said we should talk to them together because his dad will most likely try to shut it down if he just speaks to his dad separately. We had a whole plan to start off from a point of concern rather than attack, slowly branching into our issues, outlining our rules and boundaries clearly and firmly that were not to be overridden, manipulated, influenced, or stomped over. Any breach of our boundaries would indicate that stepmother-in-law doesn't respect our role as daughter and son parents and as individuals. And with all violations, there are repercussions. Then, coming back to concern addressing her mental health, her processing her grief, best friend who's like a sister to me, and is in the loop because we're very close, went through her own miscarriage a few years ago, and went to therapy and gave me the contact info of her therapist. We would be there for her emotionally as well. I made it clear to my husband that even if she agrees to respect our boundaries and acknowledges all of the indirect ways she doesn't abide by them, I still want her to go to therapy because those issues won't go away And if she can't inflict them on a daughter, she will only internalize them and in turn cause herself more inner conflict, and I am genuinely concerned about her mental health. Husband agreed and said we'll outline that to be a necessity. We had notes. We were on the same page. The kids were sleeping. I had calmed down. Great. I got a text from mother-in-law saying, can she and father-in-law come around today, for dinner instead? Because Friday they have a meeting for some event thing at their church. Great. My anxiety-ridden mind can face this quicker and won't have to be drawn out until the end of the week. Everything was set. I had husband's full support and he'd be addressing everything with me. My stepmother-in-law is a rational woman. What could go wrong? The shitstorm that was today shouts back everything. Update 2. I just want to start off by saying this happened a few hours ago, so I'm still pretty overwhelmed. I know you guys are used to the craziness of mother-in-laws, but this level is still very much still new to me. So I'm still in a bit of shock, so please forgive me for any mistakes, errors, etc. As I was getting ready in the morning, my hands were a little shaky, and it felt like someone let a knife in my stomach. I think my body was warning me shit was going to go down. The whole day at work, the day dragged. Ugh. But let's get to the point. Stepmother-in-law and father-in-law live a 30-minute drive away, and they're always on time. I picked up the kids from the childminder, I settled them down, husband comes home. I start to prep dinner. Everything was set. We were planning to have the talk after dinner when the kids went down just to make life easier. The door rings. Husband gets it. They come in, greet everyone. Stepmother-in-law spots daughter in my arms and makes a beeline towards me and puts her arms out. My darling, you're getting so big. Come to Nana. I just looked at her and said, actually, can you help me in the kitchen? And handed my kid to husband. She looked a little taken aback, but she still came along and helped me out. It was dinner time. We're eating. She spends the dinner fussing and cooing and generally devoting her time to daughter, who is just making a mess. Me, stepmother-in-law, your food is getting cold. It's fine, baby voice. My princess is being a little fussy. She needs some attention, don't you? She could care less about you right now. She's enjoying her food. You should too. Nonsense. Starts eating her food anyway. Shortly after kids get put to bed, despite protests from stepmother-in-law, I come down to her talking to husband and father-in-law, saying, Panther seems very short today. Is she okay? I walk up and answer before husband. Actually, stepmother-in-law, we've been meaning to speak to you. All color from her face disappeared. It was the creepiest shit. I was a bit taken aback, but I continued. I sat next to husband, so we were sat across from stepmother-in-law and father-in-law. I hope you don't take this as an attack, as we're greatly concerned about this situation. Since daughter has come along, we've noticed you've changed from a warm and loving grandmother to son to adopting a direct mother role with daughter. We want to make it clear so there's no confusion. We're daughter's parents, and that stepmother-in-law weeping commences right on cue. I hand over a tissue. I'll continue. We have a clear set of boundaries that you have continually crossed, most likely unintentionally, but crossed nevertheless. So we want to redefine them so there is no further confusion. I am daughter's mother. When she cries and I am 2 feet away from her, I don't appreciate you rushing past me to pick her up. Sometimes let her cry it out if I don't go to pick her up. Daughter isn't yours. Weeping louder, father-in-law looks annoyed. I continue. Please stop referring to her as your little girl, your princess, or anything related to that. You're her grandmother, a wonderful one, but please understand your role. Now, the constant photographs. You can enjoy a moment with daughter without having to snap a photograph. Just appreciate the moment. Please stop harassing me for FaceTime sessions when you've just seen her. Stepmother-in-law is getting visibly more upset. Husband, stepmother-in-law, I can see you're getting upset, and Dad, I know this is an issue for you, but you have to realize our primary concern is our children, and we're worried about stepmother-in-law. She has developed an unhealthy attachment to daughter, and she needs to address the underlying issue, her grief. We know this is hard for you, but until you do, we don't feel comfortable with you being alone with daughter. This is what did it. She was weepy before. Father-in-law was annoyed, but holy shit, this led to the explosion. She jumped up and shouted, "You can't take her away from me! She's all I have! I love that little girl! I would never do anything that would cause her harm! Why are you trying to keep me away from her? Panther, I have done so much for you. I was the mother-in-law that husband's mother-in-law, wasn't. And this is how you choose to repay me? By taking away my little girl? I don't have issues. I couldn't have children, and God himself blessed me with a family of my own, and now you're trying to take her from me." She runs out of the room shouting daughter's name. We all just sat there, stunned. Never in my life did I think she was ever capable of screeching that loud, and I don't think father-in-law did either. I shot up and followed her and ran past her, blocking her entry to the stairs. I was shouting for husband. She was weeping. Lord knows why it was taking them so long. I just pushed stepmother-in-law back and said, "You need to leave. Get the fuck out of my house. You're going to wake up my kids with your wailing." My voice was so firm and oddly unfazed, even though I was in complete shock. She looked at me and collapsed, grabbing onto my feet, begging, and still wailing. It was hard to understand her. Husband and father-in-law appeared and were just as shocked as I felt. But they had it written on their faces. Husband walks over to us and unclaws her hands from my feet and lifts up her limp body. She grabs husband by his face and weeps. "Please, I'll do whatever you want. I'll listen to your rules. Please don't take her away from me. She's my little girl." Husband looked at father-in-law and said, "She needs help, more than what any of us can give her." Father-in-law finally snaps out of his trance and takes stepmother-in-law's hand and is trying to calm her down and put her jacket on. She's still weeping as they're opening the door. "Please, please, please, Panther, please," is the last thing I hear before they get in the car and drive off. I run up to check on the kids. They're both fast asleep. I walk back downstairs and just sit on the stairs. Then, husband walks over and sits down next to me, holds my hand, and we sit there in silence for the next 5 minutes mentally processing what happened. I called the childminder to let her know that she can't release the kids to anyone but me or husband, because in the past, father-in-law and stepmother-in-law have picked up the kids for me before, so she's familiar with them. We already have a security system, cameras and passcodes that only me and husband knows. I also emailed my boss, which happens to be my friend, to let her know I won't be in tomorrow. I doubt I'm going to get much sleep tonight. I'm pretty lost and stunned after all of this. Update 3. May 22nd, 2017. A lot has happened. I wanted to write it up whilst it was still fresh, but it kept tumbling into a massive shitstorm, so I've skipped out on details. You have all been so supportive and provided me with great advice and have checked up on me, so I wanted to thank you all. Apologies for any errors in advance. Now, the shit show. Everything was quiet for a few days. We hadn't heard from stepmother-in-law or father-in-law directly, but brother-in-law said his dad, father-in-law, was taking care of the situation, which I assume that meant father-in-law was taking her to see a professional. Husband texted his dad that we were glad he was taking the much-needed steps to get stepmother-in-law professional attention, and there was no shame in that. We are concerned for her well-being, but due to recent events, we'll be limiting our contact. And there is to be no contact with the children until we see great improvement, though visits will still be supervised. We hope she's getting the help she needs, and we wish them luck. He replied, "I understand, and thank you." Cool! I took time off work because I was a little anxious and we were in the process of hiring a nanny. Not new, already pre-planned, but apart from the whirlwind that was the breakdown, I thought the situation was contained. This is where the narrator in my life says, "She thought wrong." I didn't want to leave the house for Mother's Day, but husband planned a whole day, so we agreed we'll celebrate it. I don't know why, but I felt a little guilty. In the back of my mind, I couldn't help think of stepmother-in-law, who we celebrate every year, and she was probably a mess. So the morning of, I laid out my makeup and went to have a shower. I come back and several products are gone. I assumed it was stress and that I must have forgotten to put it out or misplaced it. So after looking for a while and having not found them, I just used different products and my spare brushes. It was odd, but not unlike me to misplace things. So, whatever. We leave. Husband, the kids, and I are all having brunch at a restaurant 15 minutes from our house. It was fairly packed. It was a little chillier than expected, so I thought I'd grab a jacket for my kids, and by the time I got back, the food would have arrived. So off I go. Now, when I pulled up, I noticed the door, side door where the recycling bin, outdoor bin, etc. are, but there's a window opening above that, important, was slightly open. It's not a door that has a lock, so I assume the wind must have opened it slightly, but still, a little odd. I went to close the door, and I noticed a trash can had fallen over. Now, this was odd. The wind couldn't have knocked this over. It was full. Now I was a little on edge, but I remained calm, but cautious. I went to the front of the house, slowly unlocking the door with my keys, and closed the door behind me. My heart was racing. I was sure I was overreacting, but I had a terrible feeling. I walked upstairs, walked past my son's room, fuck the jacket, walk up to my daughter's room, and the sight I saw horrified me. My daughter's clothes were organized in rows on the floor, not folded, but laid out. Outfits completed with shoes and accessories. There, sitting cross-legged on the floor, was stepmother-in-law. All I could say was, "What the fuck?" This lady got up so fast and sighed like she had been waiting on me. "Thank God you're here, Panther. I came to celebrate Mother's Day with the babies. No one was here. I couldn't decide on what outfit to put her in, so I laid them out to get a visual." I literally thought I was the one going crazy. I took out my phone to call husband, and she grabbed my phone and said, No, we don't have to do that," with the fucking creepiest grin. Now I was split. My heart was saying, fuck this shit, start swinging, but my head was saying, she's unwell, vulnerable, and clearly unstable. I told her, "Stepmother-in-law, you need to leave right now. You're not supposed to be here. We're no contact." "But it's Mother's Day. It's the day God meant for mothers and children. I should be with my baby." I was done. "She's not your daughter. I'm her mother. She is my daughter. You're not even biologically related to her. I'm done with this shit." And I snatched my phone back. I started to walk down the stairs to call husband from downstairs, and this woman is sobbing behind me. I was so done. A bitch had run out of patience. I call husband and tell him. He wanted to drive back, but I didn't want him to bring back the kids, so I said drop them off at sister-in-law's house and then come. This woman was screaming over my shoulder, "Panther, is that husband? Is he bringing daughter? Oh my God, I knew you'd come around. See, this was a misunderstanding. Babies are supposed to be with their mothers." And she starts laughing. I spoke to her. "You're delusional. I can never let you be around them. You broke into my house. Who does that? I'm calling the police." She then sobs, "You can't. We're family. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're trying to keep her from me." Half of me wanted to beat the sense into her, but the other half was so freaked out, I thought it would be better for the police to handle this shit. The phone was ringing. As I said hello and turned back around, this woman has 2 kitchen knives, each one pointing at her temple. I never felt more powerless and horrified. She was sobbing that she can't live in this world without her baby. I tried to speak calmly and slowly, not to scare her, but fuck, I'm about to faint of horror. She's screaming and sobbing uncontrollably, saying she can't live in this world no more. It's too painful, too evil. I'm crying now, half because I'm terrified. The other half, what she is saying is horrible. I'm begging and pleading with her, but I know the only thing that'll get her to put down the knives is my daughter. I tell her she can't do this. How will it affect daughter? Without her grandmother here. She needs you. She starts to whimper and drops the knives. I pick them up. The police arrive. The rest of the day was a bit of a blur. I remember husband, father-in-law, brother-in-law arriving shortly. I remember screaming at father-in-law that he was weak and cowardly and that he needs to put her into a hospital where she needs to be psychologically analyzed. I felt bad at how I was just screaming at him, but that was one of the most terrifying moments I've witnessed. Stepmother-in-law went into a psychiatric hold and she's still in the hospital right now. Neither myself or husband have visited her, but sister-in-law told me the first day she was screaming, "Just let me die!" and crying for daughter. It's been a week, but I was told she's made improvement. I don't know how to feel. On one hand, I feel our relationship is permanently damaged. I feel guilty because I know she's unwell, but a part of me will always feel she's unpredictable and therefore unsafe to be around. I'm British, if you couldn't tell by my phrases and spellings, but I live in the US, met husband in college, got married, and stayed. So I don't have any of my own family to lean on here, but we have an apartment in another state where my best friend happens to live a 10-minute drive away, so me and the kids are going to go for a few weeks. We're also looking to move. This whole thing has been a trial, to say the least. Hopefully this is the end of the madness. Update 4. June 2nd, 2017. Hey guys, I'll give you a rundown of what's been going on. Stepmother-in-law, a name is overdue, any suggestions, is out of the hospital. From what I've heard from sister-in-law, her delusions have stopped, but she's very depressed at the reality of her life and what's happened. She's now attending therapy. The restraining order was granted. We spoke to our lawyers, and the breaking and entering charges were a lot trickier than we thought, and honestly, we think she needs mental help more than criminal correction, so we decided against it. We have a complete new security system that covers the whole grounds. New locks, new passwords, this all got changed on the day. The house got put up for sale. I'm sad about this because it's my dream house, but too much has happened that it's ruined it for us. Plus, stepmother-in-law and father-in-law live a 20-minute drive away, way too close. Me and the kids are temporarily staying in our apartment in another state. Stepmother-in-law has never been here, neither does she know the address. My friends have been really supportive and my sister has flown over. She's been great. Still, I give a picture to the doorman of what she looks like just in case. We finalized our will. We had already been doing this to ensure father-in-law and stepmother-in-law will never be the guardians of our children. I just wanted to clear some things up in my last post. I don't feel sorry for her, as in, oh, I'll forgive her, poor her, she's not a threat. Sorry, more that this is an unfortunate situation and it's a shame it had to end in no contact. Don't get me wrong, I felt sad initially, but not enough to place her needs above mine or my children. If I'm being completely honest, even with the restraining order, I think she will still come for us. I doubt she cares about legal repercussions. Sister-in-law said it took some time, but she didn't seem delusional anymore, just depressed, and that she cries all day that she won't see us for a long time because of what she did. I can't take the risk of her being around my children knowing what she is capable of. But they will no doubt try to guilt us into seeing them, especially with the birthdays coming up. Yeah, hell will freeze over before that happens. Father-in-law promised stepmother-in-law that when she gets better, that of course she'll get to see us. Brother-in-law stepped in and said that's not his decision and we've made it clear that stepmother-in-law won't be around our children for a long time. She cried. The flying monkeys have hit us with full force. People from stepmother-in-law's church called husband. They were rambling on about how this situation is terrible and we should not abandon her in her time of need, etc. He hung up. The pastor of the church met with husband and he was lovely. He said we're taking the right steps to ensure the safety of our children. We have vacation plans already booked, so we'll be out of the country for a few months. Unfortunately, we can't move out of the US permanently. It isn't the right time for us. But we're definitely moving states. A fresh start is overdue. To top it off, my mother-in-law has returned from her travels in Timbuktu, harassing husband for details, and sweeping in, trying to adopt a stable parent, lol, and grandparent role, double lol. Great. Also, I never found the missing makeup. I had to repurchase the products, which sucks because it's expensive as fuck. Relevant comments. User Little in Me Too comments. I am so sorry for you all. Such a shitty situation. I think you're doing the right thing though. And as for a name, Niobe. In Greek mythology, the woman who wept for her dead children until she turned to stone. User Panther Purple responds, wow, this might be the winner. Update 5. The 13th of July, 2017. Update about my stepmother-in-law, Niobe. Hey guys, I've gotten a few messages about an update, and frankly you guys have been with me on the start of this whirlwind and have helped me a great deal. So here goes an all-over-the-place update. I can't go into everything because it's draining, so I'll give you guys the highlights. Even so, this is likely to be long. I decided to go with Niobe because the namesake is eerily appropriate. Thank you, Little and Me Too. A month ago, sister-in-law FaceTimes me. She was at Niobe's house helping her clean, and she came across a suitcase. Intrigued, she opened it to find pieces of my clothing, shoes I haven't seen for months, bras, gloves, and a bunch of random shit, including hair ties and perfume. When asked about it, Niobe said she used to take things of mine, no matter how insignificant. She said she wanted to make things more familiar for daughter when she was here. She asked her about my makeup, but she said she couldn't remember if that was something she took, which is understandable since she was so out of it that day. So the mystery of the missing makeup is still unsolved, but a lot of weirdness. Nevertheless, for the first few weeks, father-in-law bombarded husband with calls and texts. He'd never picked up. Turns out he would call husband anytime Niobe was having a hard time to convince us to let her have a FaceTime session with the kids. Our children adapted pretty well. After our conversation with son explaining why they won't be seeing their grandparents, he hasn't really asked or struggled not seeing father-in-law or Niobe. Niobe is making steady mental progress. She is not delusional anymore, but she still has her own issues. I would be pretty proud of her if she wasn't causing me so much shit. Her and her church minions have convinced themselves that my actions are far too drastic, and that I'm doing this to be spiteful, that I used this opportunity to isolate my husband and my children from their family. But this is all to be expected from someone like me, that I think I'm better than them. Literally all the things they have said in the presence of my sister-in-law. They also tried to rewrite what happened and have said I exaggerated and manipulated Niobe's unfortunate breakdown into creating my own demented narrative. In a matter of weeks, she's managed to take away my son and beloved grandson, as well as my beautiful granddaughter. Every couple weeks, I get calls from people asking me if another rumor is true, including, but not limited to, I cheated on husband and that I convinced husband to move so he didn't have to live in the same city as my lover, and that my leaving was nothing to do with Niobe but my own shortcomings that I've tried to project onto Niobe. Please laugh with me. When they found out we were moving, inevitable as one of her friends lives near us, they flipped out. Following conversation took place. Niobe, she's taking this too far. I understand I was in the wrong, but to move to another state? Wait, is she planning on leaving to England? She can't do that. Brother-in-law, yeah, I don't think you have a say in that. Niobe responds further, I'm still their grandmother. She can't do that. We're not planning to move to the UK anytime in the near future, if ever. It's just not right for us right now. But either way, she's not seeing my kids, so why would it matter? Fast forward. This bitch and equally unhinged father-in-law decided to take a lovely trip to visit London when they were in Europe. We'll go visit the Queen. Fuck off, you psychopaths. Thanks to everyone being tight-lipped, we were in Asia on vacation, so she missed us. That didn't stop her from trying to call my sister asking for her address to stop by and catch up. My sister gave her a stern talking to and pretty much said, I'm not as patient as my sister. Call me again and we're going to have big problems. We're heading back to the US, so I'm sure our return will invite another level of shit. Update 6. The final update. The 14th of September 2017. The mystery of the missing makeup has been solved. Hey guys, I know an update about Niobe, or my stepmother-in-law who thinks my daughter is a child she never got to have, as some of you know the saga, is way overdue. An update of KEYZ is pending, so I'll write that up and post it sometime this week. But this one is a fairly short one, and it's in the title. So, some of you may remember during Niobe's mental breakdown, she broke into my house and mysteriously, my makeup disappeared too. But no one ever spoke about it again. Well, a few weeks ago, I was in old state/home to finalize a few things and attend my good friend's engagement party. Now, Niobe, stepmother-in-law, was good friends with said friend's mother, but after this all kicked off, my friend saw what a mess I was, and her mother was the one who told me Niobe was telling people I had an affair, and what she claimed was the reason I was moving. Well, friend's mother was disgusted at her lies and cut her off. Niobe, however, still felt the need to congratulate my friend on her engagement and give her a basket of gifts. So I asked friend what she got. So she went upstairs and grabbed the basket. You guys, everything in that basket was a brand new version of everything I had owned that Niobe had stolen. The exact foundation that went missing, the bronzer, the lipstick, all my shades, which is crazy because my friend is pale, a lingerie set, lingerie, hair ties, and perfume. To say we were creeped out is an understatement. I don't know if she did it to fuck with me or what, but I'd say that was pretty damning evidence. You know what's funny? That is the least crazy these past 2 months have been, and you guys will soon be roped into the horror movie that is my life soon enough. Relevant comments. Shiny Sasha comments. So, he's found your replacement. So OP does actually have an additional post that covers some of the details from the actual mother-in-law, the one that was trying to placate and be the sane grandparent in comparison to stepmother-in-law. But apparently that was an eye roll of a situation, so we'll be taking a look at that post. This one actually takes place during May of 2017, so near the beginning of the whole stepmother-in-law saga. Follow up in BEC Introduction to My Mother-in-Law. Hey guys, the reception to my first post was overwhelmingly supportive, so I just want to thank you guys. I haven't thought about most of these stories for a few years, but being on this sub has made me realize how bad she really was/is. So I have stories for days to share with you guys, but today, an intro. Any name suggestions? With a BEC edition. BEC stands for bitch eating crackers. So just a bit of context for you guys. Think of these bullet points as more of just bonus content for the episode. My husband loves my mom and calls her mama because in my culture this is the nicer way of how you refer to your mother-in-law. The alternative is the equivalent of auntie, and it's used for other older people too. But never by their name. I don't know, a respect thing. Even your friends are supposed to call your mom auntie. Mother-in-law found out and tried to make me call her the same. I told her she had a better chance of me calling her Shaitan, devil, but she didn't know what it meant. Quoting her, I feel like my baby will grow up to be closer to her, and that kills me. In reference to me. Raising my own daughter. Just the fuck. Okay, so now I'm wondering if this is maybe actually the stepmother-in-law, and this is before the distinction was required. I thought the women where you're from, England? Nah, my ethnic background. Close their mouth and only speak when they're spoken to. Surprise, mother-in-law, your racist perception that women who come from a culture outside of the Western world are submissive and weak is ding 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 wrong. She used to edit her accent to sound more British. She's from Maryland. You guys have no idea how hilarious it was to hear. I cried of laughter when she tried to say Lou in a southern accent. She cried, saying I thought I was better than her. She would always want to hold my baby. Eating? Holding my kid. I put them down for a nap, picks them up to hold them. My son, like any newborn, was attached to me, but when she came around to visit, she would follow me around wanting to hold him, but without using actual words. One day I turned around and she was directly behind me and I said, E.T. go home. And she cried and told everyone I said she looked like E.T. She didn't even get the joke. Ugh. She always refers to my daughter as a pretty princess or perfect angel and reads her books of how Prince Charming will save her one day and blah blah. Now, I grew up on Disney, so I don't have anything against princesses, but telling my daughter that she is to be dependent on a strange man saving her and marrying her one day is not how I was raised, or how I'm going to raise my daughter. So I played the Cheetah Girls' Cinderella on loop. If you CBA to Google the lyrics as like the anti-princess song, anytime she tried to bring it up. My mother-in-law isn't the best cook. Nice way of saying doesn't know what seasoning is. Which is whatever, but when I married husband and we would visit my parents, my mom is an amazing cook, and in our cuisine we have a wide range of food with ethnic names. Duh. So when my husband kept talking about it and using this and that name of which dishes I should cook, my mother-in-law got so mad one day and shouted, "Those names don't even sound real. You're purposely trying to make me feel bad. It's disgusting." Lady, you have literally made me cook dishes to take to your meetings and pass them off as your own. When I found out I was pregnant with son, we told all grandparents, but said to not tell anyone else until we said it was okay. Mother-in-law sent a group text to everyone she knew an hour later. I was so furious, I told husband that if we ever have another child, we're not telling her till she either realizes or until I feel it's okay. He agreed. I didn't tell her until I was nearly 6 months pregnant with daughter. She always freaks out about how I eat. I promise you I don't eat weird. She projects her weird sexual shit onto me all the time. Eating an ice cream, makes some weird comment about how it's inappropriate to eat in front of my brother-in-law. Eating yogurt? Why do you have to lick it first? Just eat it like a normal person. 2 days after I gave birth, she pointed to my stomach and said, "Is another one hiding in there?" I just stared at her, and then she said, "Mine was gone immediately," and starts laughing. Maybe it was mother-in-law. I pointed at her stomach and said, "Are you sure about that?" My father-in-law and brother-in-law were roaring with laughter. Okay, father-in-law's involved, so maybe it was the stepmother-in-law? Me and my sister-in-law have this running thing when one of us tells the other some fucked up thing she did. We say, "Fuck off, Janet," not her real name, and remix of "Go home, Roger." So to end this post, fuck off, Janet. So I am a little confused as to who's who, if I'm gonna be honest, because I thought the whole thing was the stepmother-in-law couldn't have a child, which, the final comment then doesn't make a ton of sense, but a lot of the behaviors here falls in line with stepmother-in-law, so maybe it's just a bit of everything kind of mixed in and slushed around, who knows at this point. But that list of items, assuming this is the stepmother-in-law and she was officially given the distinct title of being the stepmother-in-law, this whole list actually happened before the main post itself. So this was kind of like the canary in the coal mine of, "Oh, look at all these crazy things my stepmother-in-law is doing, haha," followed up by, "Yeah, my stepmother-in-law is breaking into my house and stealing my things to try to make the home more climatable to my daughter, while screaming that it's her baby and it's God's chosen will for her to have access to her." And of course, once the restraining order goes through, now spreading lies about OP. Because now they're totally gonna see this as, "Well, you're spreading rumors about me cheating on my husband, so I guess I have to let you see my daughter to make them stop." I know that line of logic sounds crazy and ill-advised, but my life was literally turned upside down by this same kind of logic a few years ago. So, people like this definitely do exist, where they get in their own headspace and fail to take into consideration the actual consequences of said actions. At this point, hopefully in the past almost decade, OP's been able to create a more stable life, and I also really hope the stepmother-in-law has managed to find her own form of stability. But the ending there makes me worry that maybe she's finding a new set of skin to try to wear, because it was very clear that she was trying to kind of worm her way in, and try to wiggle her way to be essentially the surrogate mother to OP's daughter. And judging by the gift basket of all the things she essentially took and repurchased from OP's makeup collection, seems a new target has been found. A new hand touches the beacon. And what might that beacon be? Oh boy, it's the outro! That's right, the worst segue I've ever done. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to use code ODDS at checkout with GamerSupps, linking in the description below that automatically applies the code for you. So that's pretty cool. Go pick up some comfy shirts, some tubs, some caffeine-free or caffeine or sleep ones or hydration aid ones. They got lots of them, lots of good stuff on that website. There's also an I Hate Anime section, which is appropriately off-theme for the website, so that way you can pick up some merch and wear it out in public. Anyways, I'll catch you all next time.